When the FM24 winter update dropped, we did videos on the best new Wonderkids, the best upgraded Wonderkids, and that's great. But today, we'll be looking at the players that don't get enough love, those guys in Football Manager that are over the age of 21. We'll be checking out some of the biggest upgrades from the main players in the game, whether it's your players at Girona, Bayer Leverkusen, lots of players getting upgrades across the board, and we're going to check some of the best ones out today. Before we start though, do let me know which players you've seen since the winter update that seem to have had the biggest upgrade, and remember, only players over the age of 21. I don't want to hear anything about your upgraded Wonderkids. They're for a separate video. Make sure you do like the video for us if you enjoy it, subscribe for more, and with that being said, let's kick off this list. And I mentioned Girona a little bit earlier, and that's because of course they're having a fantastic season in La Liga, and that has led to some brilliant upgrades across the park from them, whether it's Wonderkids like Savio or older players that seem to have just came out of nowhere in terms of their goal scoring ability, like Artem Dovbyk here, who's a Ukrainian international with goals for the national team at the age of 26, who was tearing up for Dnipro out in Ukraine and then made a £6 million move to Girona, where he's been fantastic this year. He's had a huge increase to his current ability. I believe it's gone up 10 plus. I don't know the exact numbers, but if he was 140 current ability before, he's now 150. You get the idea. Basically, he's a very good player now for a price point that isn't the worst, because he is heading towards the prime of his career. He's valued at about 30 million. He's strong, he's quick, he's good in the attack when it comes to finishing. He's also good in the air and a pretty good presser as well, with some nice work rate. The off the ball movement is also fantastic, and he is definitely one of the best upgrades from this Football Manager winter update, but we'll get to my favourite one at the end of the video. Start off with a good one, finish with my favourite one, and in between we're going to have some other great options too. But you know, I've got to do the old YouTube thing of saving the best till last. But yes, Dovbyk, a fantastic player whose name I've probably butchered, but he's definitely one to check out if you're after a new striker. Speaking of strikers, we've got this man, Guirassy, who's playing for Stuttgart, who are currently 3rd in Bundesliga at the time of recording, and he has been a major part in that. He's been linked to teams like Manchester United and Chelsea in the January transfer window, and there's two reasons for that. One is that he's a very good player in the prime of his years who perfectly suits the kind of mould of strikers that teams are after at the minute, but two is he has a release clause, and that is reflected in the game too. £17 million or so is the fee you'll have to pay for a brilliant striker. If that clause wasn't there, he would definitely be worth more, with 17 finishing, great penalties, passing ability, free kicks as well. He can dribble, he's quick, he's strong, he's good in the air, good off the ball work, nice work rate, and just generally a very well-rounded forward like Dovbyk. The Ghanaian can even play as a complete forward, which is one of the most specialised roles in all of Football Manager. So if you're after an elite striker, Guirassy could be the man. Moving away from strikers now though, we have a defender. It's Brighton's Jean-Paul Van Hecke, who you might have seen this year for Brighton and assumed, wow, they've gone and signed someone that no one knew about again, and he's played really well. Well, yes, that's kind of right, but they actually signed him years and years ago, back in 2020-2021 for only 1.8 million. He's then been loaned out, played for Blackburn, but now Levi Colwill's gone. He's played more minutes in that back line and looks very comfortable there. A right-footed central defender who I have no doubt will be an international in no time for the Netherlands, if he isn't already, and maybe the game hasn't reflected it. I don't know, but if he hasn't been called up yet, I'm sure he will do soon. He's very good on the ball, the perfect modern-day defender, a great tackler too, with great passing ability. Certainly one to take a look at, and I don't want to say I'm some kind of footballing god, but I did actually say last season that Van Hecke was going to have a good year this year, and it seems to have turned out okay. Hasn't been the best centre-back in the league by any stretch, but he's certainly making his mark in that Brighton side. Speaking of making their mark and Brighton, next is Dennis Undav, who a few of you might recognise the name and think, where do I know him from? Well, he is a Brighton player, and he was at Brighton for a season or so. He came in for a decent fee, having done well out in Belgium, got loaned back there, and then came to Brighton for the season, and scored a few. I mean, he got 5 and 22, which isn't too bad. A lot of those would have been bench appearances, and this year he was loaned out to Stuttgart. At the age of 26, you wouldn't have expected much from him at this point, but he's absolutely torn it up. He's been one of the best strikers in the division, and I believe there's a big call for him to be called up to the Germany national team for the upcoming Euros. Whether they'll do that, I don't know, but they are particularly light in that striker area, and Undav could be a great fit. In the winter update, he's been given a boost to his current ability, so he's now a much better player than he was previously. I imagine in most cases he will go back to Brighton, he will become one of their best strikers, and likely will keep Evan Ferguson out of the team for a little while, but maybe not. Maybe they won't give him a chance and he'll be available to sign, and that's when you can step in and try and get yourself a cut price deal on a very good finisher who's got great ability all around, maybe not as good as some of the other forwards we've looked at, but certainly a decent option. Speaking of good performances in the Bundesliga this season, the team that I tend to follow the most in Germany is Wolfsburg, and they have not been doing very well at all. However, saying that, there have been a few standout players, and one of them is certainly the Danishman Jonas Wahl, who's a 24-year-old forward with 6 goals in 19 international appearances, not bad at all, who at the start of this save is wanted by West Ham and AC Milan, and there's a reason why. He is a fantastic forward option who can also play in attacking midfield, who is very strong, he's big as well at 6'3", he's good in the air, and he's actually got really good technical ability, the passing, the technique, the penalty taking as well, and his mentals are great too. There's really not too much wrong with him. I know he might not be the flashy name that everyone wants up front, but there is a reason why elite clubs like these two are after a player like this. For £15 million or so, he's one of the cheaper ones we've looked at so far. He is a bargain. He has been upgraded in the winter update, not massively, but given enough of a boost that big teams are after him now, and it won't be long before he moves from Wolfsburg in your save, so make sure if you want him, you check him out early. Now the next player is one of my favourites, but before we show him, I'd just like to let you guys know I do have my own channel as well, linked in the description, should you want to check it out after this video. It's all Football Manager content, so if you like this video, you might like that too. I do more entertainment style FM videos as opposed to the informative stuff we do here on FMSCOUT. So if you're into Football Manager rebuilds or you want to know about all the best Wonderkids that you haven't heard of yet, then make sure you come and check my channel out in the description. I'd be massively thankful. Let me know that you came over from FMSCOUT and I'll give you a big thumbs up and you would be an absolute legend. But let's get back to the list and to one of my favourite players. It is Cole Palmer. Now I'm a Chelsea fan and this year hasn't been the best in terms of watching the club and it hasn't been for a good few years to be honest, but Cole Palmer has been a shining light this season. In Football Manager though, before the winter update, Chelsea basically gave him 1 or 2 appearances across the course of a few seasons and then would let him go on a free contract because he wasn't rated at all, and I've seen that happen countless times in my own rebuilds. Now though, after the winter update, he will certainly be getting the opportunity at Chelsea. He's had a massive improvement to his attributes in terms of being a number 10 or coming off that right hand side. He's probably one of the best in his age bracket. 21 years of age, 16 finishing, 16 first touch, great technique and vision. His passing should be a bit more in my opinion, and some nice physical attributes as well. A good dribbler who can hit a set piece too. Cole Palmer of course was going to get an upgrade in the winter update, and this is how he looks now. We've still got 8 fantastic players to go in this list, and I'm saving my favourite till last, but next is Victor Boniface. This has been the year of the big powerful forward, and Boniface is certainly that. Is it Boniface? I don't know, but he's a Nigerian 22-year-old who you've all heard about, playing for Leverkusen, who have of course been fantastic in the Bundesliga, and looks like it's almost guaranteed they will take the title away from Bayern Munich. A strong forward who's also quick, good in the air, good with the ball at his feet. He can even hold the ball up and bring his teammates into play. A complete forward is his best role, which shows you how well-rounded of a player that this guy is. Obviously at the age of 22, he's one for the more elite teams, but if you get him, you are set for 10 years when it comes to a goal scorer. Speaking of goal scorers, another club that I follow fairly closely is Eredivisie's side AZ Alkmaar, and Vangelis Pavlidis has been one of their bright sparks this season in a year that started off very well, and I believe at one point AZ were actually on top of the table. They fell away a little bit, but between that whole time, this man has been a constant in their team, scoring goal after goal, and the Greek international has been greeted by Sports Interactive with an upgrade in the winter update for his endeavours. He's got great ability. Again, he's another very well-rounded forward. For about 18 million, you get a player that's not yet in his prime, 24 years of age, and wanted by 3 very big clubs here. West Ham and AC Milan clearly want a striker. They've been linked to 2 players that we've looked at in this video, but also Atletico Madrid are interested in Pavlidis here, and I don't blame them. This Greek forward is a bargain because of the league and the club he's in. If he was somewhere else, he'd be worth a lot more than this. He's one of the best players in the Eredivisie currently, and it won't be long before we see him move. I'm fairly certain of that. Another trip back to Girona to take a look at Alexis Garcia, who has been one of the best performers in La Liga and maybe one of the most crucial parts in this Girona side, getting to the top of the table where they were for a little bit. They now fell off a little bit away from Real Madrid, but it's been a fantastic effort from them. For about 20 million, you get a 26-year-old in the prime of his career. He's had a current ability increase, and I have seen his hidden attributes. His potential isn't too far away from what you're looking at now, so don't expect him to improve too much. But for 20 million, you are getting a very well-rounded midfielder here who can tackle and pass equally as well. He also has some brilliant hidden attributes like consistency and important matches. He's the kind of player that you can rely upon. Actually, is one of the most consistent players in the game. He's got some nice player traits too, a very good playmaker at the base of your midfield should you want him, and I imagine there'll be a lot of interest after this season for this man. I know Barcelona have been linked in real life. If they can deal with their financial issues, this guy could be the next player in that Barca midfield. Belgium international and Leipzig striker Louise has been fantastic this season. He's a player that's getting more and more recognised as the years go by. Was brilliant in the French league in his only season for Lens, has played for Vitesse in the past and Club Bruges. Now though, he is at Leipzig. £33 million was the fee to get him to the Bundesliga. Since then, he's done pretty well. He's been greeted with an upgrade in Football Manager, and he's now an unbelievable forward. Pacey, a nightmare for defenders. If you played FIFA as well, you know he's a very quick player. Pace is definitely one of his biggest strong suits, and I imagine he'll be leading the line for Belgium for the next few years. Once Lukaku kind of goes away from that team, Openda will be the main man in that Belgium side. 4 players to go, and we've got another Bundesliga talent who's been upgraded. This is Ermedin Dimitrovic, who's a Bosnian forward, and you might have noticed a cut there because it took me about 10 times to pronounce his name right, but he is an important player for Augsburg in the Bundesliga. One of their best performers this season, and one of the best performers in the Bundesliga, considering he isn't in the strongest side. The forward is a very good player, and again, West Ham are interested. He's been given an upgrade, and is certainly one to check out in your save for only £10 million or so, getting towards the prime of his career. Now, I have no idea about this player, but Sports Interactive themselves highlighted him as one of their best upgrades from this Football Manager winter update. This is Cameron Puertas, and I wanted to highlight him purely because of the transfer fee. £2 million for a 24-year-old improved player in the Belgium leagues for Union SG. He's a defensive midfielder, maybe isn't the best in the world, but isn't going to cost you the greatest amount either. He's supposedly a leader, which I don't quite follow because he's only got 11 leadership, but for about £2 million, this is a player. Sports Interactive highlighted him. I didn't pick him out myself, but I thought we may as well show him in this video, so you've got a cheaper option as well from the winter update. A better player in his position, but significantly more expensive though, is Douglas Louise, who's an FC Bayern target in this save here for about 50 million. I mean, he's probably worth the money, let's be honest. 25-year-old Brazilian international. Aston Villa have done really well in real life this season. Douglas Louise has had an attribute boost because of that. I know Arsenal have been linked in real life too. He is one of the most well-rounded midfielders you will see in this whole game. Great tackling ability, great passing ability, can score, can hit a long shot as well, good in the air, really well-rounded physically as well, great mentally. You could go on and on about Douglas Louise. He is a fantastic player. Natural in central midfield or defensive midfield, certainly one to take a look at if you're an elite club looking for your next midfielder. And the final player to finish off with is the upgraded Bayer Leverkusen talent, Alex Grimaldo. The Spaniard is a player I've used for a number of years in FM, is really getting his props given to him this season for how well he's doing at Leverkusen under Xabi Alonso in a very attacking role where he almost plays as a number 10 sometimes when he goes forward. But I'll be honest with you, those attributes just make me feel a certain kind of way. The green attributes all over the park. He's technically so good, really good mentally as well. Yes, he's a lot of money, but you are getting maybe one of the most complete fullbacks in world football for about 40-45 million. If I was Chelsea manager right now, I'd be going all out to buy him to be a left back. The former Benfica and Barcelona player is an absolute gem, and after the winter update is just even better. So check him out in your save. Thank you guys for watching. Like the video if you enjoyed. Let me know your favourites in the comments, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.